Gentlemen and ladies, welcome back. We're doing some more reading. I'm sure we're kind of used to the drill by now, huh? We've read quite a few books at this point. So let's see, what do we want to read today? Goddamn, I gotta sell a lot of shit. I'm gonna have to go through my drawer that has all the books, huh? I don't have any actually on me, so gonna have to do that. All right, let's see, what do we want to read today? Let's just grab the first three books. All these books that start off with the word A. That's the series that we're going to be reading today. Depends, some of them might be stupidly long, so we may not actually do that, but hey, we'll find out. A Game at Dinner. Oh my god. I think I remember reading that one, actually, in Skyrim. I haven't obviously recorded it, but I do kind of remember reading that. Okay. Well, maybe we won't read all of these books. Fuck. That was a short one. Alright, we'll read the first two here. And we'll cut out the short one. Alright? Maybe we'll do the short one. I don't know. We'll find out. A Game at Dinner by an Anonymous Spy. Forward from the publisher. Forward from the publisher. The history behind this letter is almost as interesting and dark as the story itself it tells. The original letter to the mysterious Dwayne? Sure. Was copied and began circulating around the ashlands of Vardenfell a few months ago. But when was a few months ago, huh? In time, print found its way to the mainland in Prince Hlalu Helseth's palace outside Almalexia. While the reader may conclude after reading this letter that the prince would be furious about such a work, impugning his highness with great malevolence, quite the reverse was true. The prince and his mother, Queen Berenziah, had it privately printed into bound copies and sent to libraries and booksellers throughout Morrowind. As a matter of record, the prince and the queen have not officially stated whether the letter is a work of pure imagination or based on an actual occurrence. The House Dress has publicly denounced the work, and indeed no one named Danain, despite the suggestions in the letter, has ever been linked to the house. We leave the reader to interpret the letter as he or she believes. Nennis Gann, Publisher. Dark Liege. I'm just going to call him Dwayne. Fuck it, he's Dwayne. Dark Liege Dwayne. You asked for a detailed description of my experience last night and the reasons for my plea to House Dress for another assignment. I hope I have served you well in my capacity as informant in the court of Prince Helseth, a man who I have stated in many previous reports could teach Molag Bal how to scheme. As you know, I've spent nearly a year now working my way into his inner circle of advisors. He was in need of friendship when he first arrived in Morrowind, and eagerly took me and a few others. Still, he was disinclined to trust any of us, which is perhaps not surprising, given his tenuous position in Morrowind society. For your unholiness's recollection, the prince is the eldest son of Berenziah, who was once the queen of Morrowind and once the queen of the High Rock Kingdom of Wayrest. At the death of her husband, Prince Helseth's stepfather, King Edwire, there was a powerful struggle between the prince and Edwire's daughter, the Princess Elsina. Though details of what transpired are imperfect, it is clear that Elsina won the battle and became queen, banishing Helseth and Berenziah. Berenziah's only other child, Morgaya, had already left court to marry and become queen of the Somerset Isle Kingdom of Firsthold. Berenziah and Helseth crossed the continent to return to Morrowind only last year. They were well received by Berenziah's uncle, our current king, Hlalu Athen Lethan, who had taken the throne after Berenziah's abdication more than 40 years ago. Berenziah made it clear that she had no designs on reclaiming the throne, but merely to retire to her family estates. Helseth, as you know, has lingered in the royal court, and many have whispered that while he lost the throne of Wayrest, he does not intend to lose the throne of Morrowind at Lethan's death. I've kept your unholiness informed of the prince's movements, meetings, and plots, as well as the names and characters of his other advisors. As you may recall, I've often thought that I was not the only spy in Helseth's court. I told you before that a particular Dunmer counselor of Helseth looked like a fellow I had seen in the company of Thaler Saryoni, the archcanon of the tribunal temple. Another, a young Nord woman, had been verified to visit the imperial fortress in Balmora. Of course, in their cases, they might well have been on Helseth's own business, but I couldn't be certain. I had begun to think myself paranoid as the prince himself, when I found myself doubting the sincere loyalty of the prince's chamberlain, Burgess, a Breton who had been in his employ since his days in the court of Wayrest. That is the background on that night, last night. Yesterday morning, I received a curt invitation to dine with the prince. Based only on my own paranoia, I dispatched one of my servants, who is a good and loyal servant of the House Dress, to watch the palace and report back anything unusual. Just before dinner, he returned and told me what he had witnessed. A man cloaked in rags had been given entrance into the palace and had stayed there for some time. When he left, my servant saw his face beneath the cloak. An alchemist of infamous repute, said to be a leading supplier of exotic poisons. A fine observer, my servant also noticed that the alchemist entered the palace smelling of wick-wheat, bitter green, and something alien and sweet. When he left, he was odorless. He had come to the same conclusion as I did. The prince had procured ingredients to prepare a poison. Bitter green alone is deadly when eaten raw, but the other ingredients suggested something far deeper. As your unholiness can doubtless imagine, I went to dinner that night, prepared for any eventuality. All of Prince Helseth's other counselors were in attendance, and I noticed that all were slightly apprehensive. Of course, I imagined that I was in a nest of spies, and all knew of the prince's mysterious meeting. It is just as likely that some knew of the alchemist's visit, while others were simply concerned by the nature of the prince's invitation, and still others merely unconsciously adopted the tense disposition of their fellow, better-informed counselors. The prince, however, was in fine mettle and soon had everyone relaxed and at ease. At 9, we were all ushered into his dining hall where the feast had been laid out. And what a feast! Honeyed gore apples, fragrant stews, roasts, and various blood sauces, and every variety of fish and fowl expertly and ostentatiously prepared. Prepared. Crystal and gold flagons of wine, Flynn, Sheen, and Mats were at our seats to be savored as appropriate with each course. As tantalizing as the aromas were, it occurred to me that in such a maze of spices and flavors, a discreet poison would be undetectable. Throughout the meal, I maintained the illusion of eating the food and drinking the liquor. How the fuck does one just do that? You fake bite. Well, honestly, that happens all the time. In Skyrim, we saw Zahn of the Fighters Guild fucking fake, pretending as if to bite into an apple for fucking ever. Oh, that man. Throughout the meal, I already read that. Finally, but I was surreptitious. I'm just gonna back up a little bit. Throughout the meal, I maintained the illusion of eating the food and drinking the liquor, but I was surreptitious and swallowed nothing. Oh, he chewed, but he didn't swallow. Okay. Finally, the plates and food. Would that still do a poison not affect you if you never actually swallow? Yeah, I suppose so. Alright. Finally, the plates and food were cleared. So what? Did you just spit everything out, though? What? You just keep it in? No, you have to be spitting that out at some point. Whatever. Finally, the plates and food were cleared from the table, and a tureen of a spicy broth was placed in the center of the banquet. The servant who brought it then retired, closing the banquet hall door behind him. "It smells divine, my prince," said the Morkiness Kolger, the Nord woman, "but I cannot eat any another thing." "Your Highness," I added, feigning a tone of friendliness and slight intoxication, "you know that everyone at this table would gladly die to put you on the throne of Morrowind, but is it really necessary that we gorge ourselves to death?" The others at the table agreed with appreciative groans. Prince Helseth smiled. "I swear by Vermina the Gifter, my dark liege." Why are there no quotes? "Even you have never seen a smile such as this one." Oh, that one's not a quote, so that's why. Ironic words. "You see, an alchemist visited me today. As soon as..." Oh, okay, this is actually what he's saying. Okay. Yeah, sure, okay. Ironic words. You see, an alchemist visited me today, as some of you already doubtless know. He showed me how to make a marvelous poison and its antidote, a most potent potion, excellent for my purposes. No restoration spell will aid you once you've ingested it. Only the antidote in the tureen will save you from certain death. And what a death, from what I've heard. I'm eager to see if the effects are all that the alchemist promised. It should be horribly painful for the afflicted, but quite entertaining. Okay. He's just openly admitting it, goddamn. Interesting, okay, yeah, alright. No one said a word. I could feel my heart beating hard in my chest. Your Highness, said Alarat, the Dunmer I suspected of alliance with the temple. Have you poisoned someone at this table? You are very astute, Haliart. The irony, said Prince Helseth, looking about the table, acting as if that motherfucker's just an idiot, eyeing each of his advisors carefully. Little wonder I value your counsel, as indeed I value all in this room. It would be perhaps easiest for me to say who I haven't poisoned. I haven't poisoned any who serve but one master. Any whose loyalty to me is sincere. I haven't poisoned any person who wants to see King Helseth on the throne of Morrowind. I haven't poisoned anyone who isn't a spy for the Empire, the Temple, the House of Tilvani, the House of Redoran, the House of Indoril, the House of Dress. Your Unholiness, he looked directly at me at his last words. I know that in certainty. My faith is practiced at keeping my thoughts from showing, but I immediately thought of every secret meeting I've had, every coded message I sent to you in the house, my dark liege. What could he know? What could he, even without knowing, suspect? I felt my heart beating even faster. Oh god, was it fear or poison? Yeah, I was just about to say that. I couldn't speak, certain as I was that my voice would betray my calm facade. Those loyal to me who wish harm on my enemies may be wondering how I can be certain that the poison has been ingested. Is it possible that the guilty party, or dare I say parties, were suspicious and merely pretended to eat and drink tonight? Of course, but even the craftiest of pretenders would have to raise a glass to his or her lips and put empty forks or spoons in their mouths to play the charade. The food, you see, was not poisoned. The cups and cutlery were. If you did not partake out of fear, you're poisoned just the same, and sadly missed an excellent roast. Sweat bedded on my face, and I turned from the prince so he would not see. My fellow advisors, all of them, were frozen in their seats, from the Mercanis Kolgar, white with fear, to Kima Inib, visibly shaking, from the furrowed, angry brow of Halarat to the statue-like stare of Burgess. I couldn't help thinking then, could the prince's entire counselorship be comprised of nothing but spies? Was there any person at the table loyal? And then I thought, what if I were not a spy myself? Would I trust Helseth to know that? No one knows better than his advisors both the depth of the prince's paranoia and the utter placability of his ambition. If I were not a spy for the House Dress, even then would I be safe? Could a loyalist be poisoned because of a not-so-innocent misjudgment? The others must have been thinking the same, loyalists and spies alike. While the mind whirled, I could hear the prince's voice, addressing all assembled. The poison acts quickly. If the antidote is not taken within 1 minute from now, there will be death at the table. I couldn't decide whether I had been poisoned or not. My stomach ached, but I reminded myself it might have been the result of sitting at a sumptuous banquet and not partaking. My heart shook in my chest, and a bitter taste, like trauma roots, stung my lips. Again, was it fear or poison? These are the last words you will hear if you are disloyal to me, said Prince Helseth, still smiling that damned smile as he watched his advisors squirming in their seats. Take the antidote and live. Could I believe him? I thought of what I knew of the prince and his character. Would he kill a self-confessed spy at his court, or would he rather send the vanquished back to his masters? The prince was ruthless, but either possibility was within his manner. Surely the theatricality of this whole dinner was meant to be a presentation to instill fear. What would my ancestors say if I joined them after sitting at a table, eventually dying of poison? What would they say if I took the antidote, confessing my allegiance to you and the House Dress, and was summarily executed? And, I confess, I thought of what you might do. might do to me, even after I was dead. I had grown so lightheaded and filled with my own thoughts that I didn't see Burgess jump from his seat. I was only suddenly aware that he had the tureen in his hands and was gulping down the liquid within. There were guards all around, though I never noticed them entering. Burgess, said Prince Helseth, still smiling. You haven't spent some time at Ghostgate, House Redoran? You didn't know, Burgess laughed sourly. No house. I report to your stepsister, the Queen of Wayrest. I've always been in her employ. By Akatosh, you poisoned me because you thought I was working for some damnable dark elves? You're half right, said the prince. I didn't guess who you were working for, or even that you were a spy. But you're also wrong about me poisoning you. You poisoned yourself when you drank from the tree. I was just thinking that. Didn't want to spoil it. Your Unholiness, you don't need to hear how Burgess died. Oh, okay, this is... God, they need to, like, find a better way to, like, switch between the letter itself and, like, the event and the speaking. It all feels like the same. Your Unholiness, you don't need to hear how Burgess died. I know that you have seen much over the many, many years of your existence, but you truly don't want to know. I wish I could erase the memory of his agonies from my own mind. The council was dismissed shortly thereafter. I do not know if Prince Helseth knows or suspects that I too am a spy. I do not know how many others last night, were as close as I was from drinking from the tureen before Burgess did. I only know that if the prince does not suspect me now, he will. I cannot win at the games he mastered long ago at the court of Wayrest, and I beg your Unholiness, my dark liege Dwayne, to use your influence in the house dress and dismiss your loyal servant from this charge. Publisher's note. Of course, the anonymous writer's signature has not been on any reprint of the letter since the original. Wow, that was a highly entertaining book. Perhaps slightly predictable, but highly entertaining. Alright. A Hypothetical Treachery. Very curious. A Hypothetical Treachery, a one-act play by Anthil Morvir. Dramatis Personae? Okay, so like the actors, I think. Malvasane, a high elf battle mage. Inzalai, a dark elf battle mage. Delketis, a Cyrodiil healer. Shivas, an Argonian barbarian, a ghost, and some bandits. God, I don't know how to pronounce any of these fucking words, so I'm just gonna say Mal, Ins, and Dalk. Mans in Dol, and Skeeve. Something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Scene, Eldenwood. As the curtain rises, we see the misty labyrinthian landscape of the legendary Elvenwood. Of Valenwood. All around we hear wolves howling. A bloodied reptilian figure, Skeevis, breaks through the branches of one of the trees and surveys the area. Skeevis. It's clear. Inzalaya. A beautiful dark elf mage climbs down from the tree, helped by the barbarian. There's the sound of footsteps nearby. Shivas readies his sword, and Inzalai prepares to cast a spell. Nothing comes out. Inzalai, you're bleeding. You should have Dol heal that for you. Skeevis, he's still drained from all the spells he had to cast down in the caves. I'm fine. He's still drained. Alright, just like wait an hour, he'll get his magic back. I'm sure it'll be alright. If we get out of this and no one needs it more, I'll take the last potion of healing. Where's Mal? Malvasian, a high elf battle mage. In Dol, Cyrodiil, a healer, emerge from the tree, carrying a heavy chest between the two of them. They awkwardly try to get down from the tree, carrying their loot. I hate, like, reading a play, goddamn. Mal, here I am, though why I'm carrying the heavy load is beyond me. I always thought that the advantage of dungeon delving with a great barbarian was that he carried all the loot. Skeevis, if I carried that, my hands would be too full to fight. And tell me if I'm wrong, but not one of the three of you has enough magicka reserved to make it out of here alive. It feels so weird saying that, because magic regenerates, so like what? Not after you electrified and blasted all those homunculuses? down below ground. What the fuck? Dull. Homunculi. What the fuck is this guy saying? What? Skeevis, don't worry. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do. Inzalai, innocently. Well, what's that? Skeevis, kill you all and take the ebony mail for myself. Admit it, you thought I had that in mind. Oh, the ebony mail is a Daedric artifact for Boethia, I think? Pretty sure. Dull. What a perfectly horrible thought. I never thought anyone, no matter how vile and degenerate, Inzalai. Why not? Mal. He needs porters, like he said. He can't carry the chest and fight off the inhabitants of Elden Grove both. Dull. By Stendar, of all the mean, conniving, typical Argonian... Inzalai? And why do you need me alive? Skeevis. I don't necessarily. Except that you're prettier than the other two. For a smooth skin, that is. And if something comes after us, it might go for you first. There's a noise in some bushes nearby. Skeevis. Go check that out. Inzalai. It's probably a wolf. These woods are filled with them. You check it out. Skeevis. You have a choice, Inzalai. Go, and you might live. Stay here, and you definitely won't. Inzalai considers and then goes to the bushes. Skeevis, to Mal and Dull. The king of Sylvanar will pay good money for the mail, and we can divide it more nicely between 3 than 4. Inzalai, you're so right. Inzalai suddenly levitates up to the top of the stage. A semi-transparent ghost appears from the bush and rushes at the next person, who happens to be Skeevis. As the barbarian screams and thrashes at it with his sword, it levels blasts of whirling gas at him. He crumbles to the ground. It turns next to Dull, the healer, and as the ghost focuses its feasting chill on the hapless Dull, Mal casts a ball of flame at it that causes it to vaporize into the misty air. Inzalai floats back down to the ground as Malvasian examines the bodies of Dulcetus and Skeevis, who are both white-faced from the drained power of the ghost. Wait, who went in the bushes to go check that stuff out? I think it was Inzalai, right? No, it wasn't Inzalai. Fuck, who was it? Oh no, it was Inzalai. Fuck. Suddenly levitates up to... I think that was Inzalai who cast it. I think Inzalai was the Dunmer, right? We're on page 9. Inzalai is a dark elf. Yeah, so I think Inzalai... Because dark elves have this power where they can spawn like an ancestral ghost. So I think that's what that's supposed to be. You had some magicka reserved after all, Inzalai, so did you. Are they dead? Malvasian takes the potion of healing from Dulcetus's pack. Malvasian, yes. Fortunately, the potion of healing wasn't broken when he fell. Well, I guess this leaves just the 2 of us to collect the reward. Inzalai, we can't get out of this place without each other, like it or not. The 2 battle mages pick up the chest and begin plodding carefully through the undergrowth, pausing from time to time at the sound of footsteps or other eerie noises. Malvasian, let me make sure I understand. You have a little bit of magicka left, so you elected to use it to make Skeevis the ghost's target, forcing me to use most of my limited reserve to destroy the creature, so I wouldn't be more powerful than you. That's first-rate thinking. Inzalai, thank you. It's only logical. Do you have enough power to cast any other spells? Malvasian, naturally. An experienced battle mage always knows a few minor, but highly effective spells for just such a trial. I take it you, too, have a few tricks up your sleeve? Inzalai, of course, like you said. They pause for a moment before continuing as a fearful wail pierces the ear. When it dies away, they slowly trudge on. Inzalai, just as an intellectual exercise, I wonder what spells you would cast at me if we made it out of here without any more combat. Malvasian, I hope you're not implying that I would dream of killing you, so I would keep the treasure all to myself. Inzalai, of course not, nor would I do that to you. It is merely an intellectual exercise. Malvasian, well, in that case, purely as an intellectual exercise, I would probably cast a leech spell on you to take away your life force and heal myself. After all, there are brigands on the road between here and Sylvanar, and a wounded battle mage with a vulnerable artifact would make a tempting target. I'd hate to survive Elden Grove merely to die in the open. Inzalai, that's a well-reasoned response. God, why is this such a formal fucking conversation? Them trying to scope each other out, huh? Weird. That's a well-reasoned response. As for myself, again, not saying I would ever do this, but I think a simple, sudden electrical bolt would serve my purposes admirably. I agree about the danger of brigands, but don't forget, we also have a potion of healing. I could easily slay you and heal myself to full capacity. Malvasian, very true. It would end up a question then of whose spell was more effective at that instant. If our spells counteracted one another and I leached your life energy only to be crippled by your lightning bolt, then we could both be killed, or so near death that a mere potion of healing would scarcely help either one of us, let alone both. How ironic it would be if two scheming battle mages, not saying we are scheming, but for the purpose of this intellectual exercise, were left on the brink of death, completely drained of magicka, with one healing potion to choose from. Who would get it then? What the fuck? This is such a stupid story. Inzalai, logically, whoever drank it first, which in this case would be you since you're holding it. Now, what if one of us were injured but not killed? Malvasian, logic would dictate that this is the most annoying book I've ever fucking read. Logic would dictate that a scheming battle mage would take the potion, leaving the injured party to the mercy of the elements, I suppose. Inzalai, that does not seem most sensible, but suppose that the battle mages, while certainly scheming types, had a certain respect for one another. Perhaps in that case, the victorious one might, for instance, put the potion up a tree near his or her gravely wounded victim. Then, when the wounded party had enough magicka replenished, he or she would be able to levitate to the tree branches and recover the potion. I also really like that they have this is probably written, this book was probably in... I'm also remembering that the name of this book is A Hypothetical Treachery. This book was probably in Morrowind. In Morrowind, they actually have a levitate spell. They got rid of that because it created a lot of bugs, apparently, but yeah. By that time, the victorious battle mage would have already collected the reward. They paused for a moment at the sound of something in the bushes nearby. Carefully, they climbed across the branches of a tree to bypass it. Malvasian, I understand what you're saying, but it seems out of character for our hypothetical scheming battle mage to allow his or her victim to live. Inzalai, perhaps, but it's been my observation that most scheming battle mages enjoy the feeling of having bested someone in combat, and having that person alive to live with the humiliation. Malvasian, these hypothetical scheming battle mages sound excitedly, daylight! Do you see it? The two scurry across the branch, dropping behind a bush, so we can no longer see them. We can, however, see the shimmering halo of sunlight. Malvasian behind the tall bush. We made it! Inzalai, likewise behind the tall bush. Indeed. There's a sudden explosion of electrical energy and a wild howling aura of red light, and then silence. After a few moments' pause, we hear someone climbing up the tree. It is Malvasian, hey! Putting the potion high up in the bow. He chuckles as he climbs back down, and then the curtain drops. What a stupid fucking thing, huh? Epilogue. The curtain rises on a road to Sylvanar. A gang of bandits have surrounded Malvasian, who is propped up on his staff, barely able to stand. They pull his chest away from him with ease. Bandit number 1. What have you got here? Don't you know it ain't safe to be out on the road, all sick like you are? Why don't we help you with your load? Malvasian weakly. Please, let me be. Bandit 2. Go on, spellcaster. Fight us for it. Malvasian, I can't. Too weak. Suddenly, Inzalai flies in, casting lightning bolts from her fingers at the bandits, who quickly scramble away. She lands on the ground and picks up the chest. Malvasian collapses, dying. Malvasian, hypothetically, what if a battle mage cast a spell on another which didn't harm him at once, but drained his life force and his magicka, bit by bit, so he wouldn't know at the time, but feel confident enough to leave the potion of healing behind? Inzalai, a most treacherous battle mage she'd be. Malvasian, and, hypothetically, God, this is the most... Oh my god, I hate this book so much, but it's also... It's like somewhat good, but it's so annoying at the same time. Just hearing two people saying, well, hypothetically, and, hypothetically, would she be likely to help her fallen foe, so that she could enjoy the humiliation of him continuing to live? Inzalai, from my experience, hypothetically, no, she doesn't sound like a fool. As Inzalai lugs the chest off towards Sylvanar and Malvasian expires on the stage, we drop the current. Okay, yeah, what a fucking story, huh? What a story. That was indeed a story. No denying it. What the fuck? A less rude song by Anonymous. They say the Iliac Bay is the place to barrel around without a bit of a parallon. I don't know how the fuck this is meant to be saying. I'm just gonna read it. As advertised in that carol song, a tune that's sung as the west wind blows about its lovely not wearing any clothes. Ladies singing high notes, men singing lows, implying that the most luscious depravity, in complete absence of serious gravity, can only be found in the waterous cavity of Iliac Bay. If you are the type who is more a sinner than a sinned, you'll find it all and more. I feel like I've read this before. But the truth, my child, is that nothing more wild, that an ordinary fashion, kind of slightly mad passion, can be detected, if at all, in Sentinel and Daggerfall. I'm pretty sure I've read this, but whatever. We're already this far in. Whatever your odd needs, feathered, scaled, or finned, you'll find it all in Morrowind. It's an invitation of bards that Bretons and Redguards have more than some staid fun and suffer deviant fornication. No, I've already fucking read this. I definitely already read this. Fuck you. Fuck you. I already read that goddamn book. I know I have. Maybe I just forgot to put it in the thing, or maybe I did and I just forgot that I put it in the thing. Let's see. Do I have a less rude song in here? I do. Okay, yeah. No, I already read it. Okay, that's good. That's good. Well, that is going to do it for this video. In the next video, we shall be fighting our way through the Imperial Sewer, and then we'll return here to read some more books, and then we'll be off into the Shivering Isles. But until the next video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.
I don't wanna see the glow without you. Refuse to even leave my home without you. Or my brain's gonna explode without you. I don't even know how to cope without you. Cause I don't wanna see the glow without you. Refuse to even leave my home without you. Or my brain's gonna explode without you. I don't even know how to cope without you.